America is full of beautiful neighborhoods, quiet streets, white houses, perfect families. But some houses hide something inside them, something that never sleeps. This is the true story of 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, New York. A house that looks peaceful, but has one of the darkest histories in American horror. November 13th, 1974. It was a cold night in Amityville. The street was silent. No traffic, no screams. Inside the house, 6 people were asleep. At 3:15 a.m., the silence broke. One gunshot, then another, then another. By the time the night ended, an entire family was dead. The killer wasn't a stranger. It was Ronald DeFeo Jr., the eldest son of the family, only 23 years old. Using a high-powered rifle, he murdered his father, his mother, 2 sisters, 2 younger brothers. Every single one of them was found in bed. No signs of struggle, no screams, no attempt to escape. Almost as if they never woke up. When police arrived, they were confused. 6 gunshots inside a wooden house, yet no neighbor heard anything. Every body was found face down. No one ran, no one fought back. Investigators asked one question again and again. How did this happen so quietly? There was no clear answer. Ronald was arrested. At first, he denied everything. Then, suddenly, he changed his story. He said, "Voices told me to do it." He claimed something inside the house spoke to him at night, something that ordered him to kill his family. Doctors later said he was mentally unstable, but some investigators weren't convinced because the house itself was already acting strange. After the murders, the house sat empty. Blood had been cleaned, furniture removed, and then it was sold. Cheap, very cheap. In December 1975, the Lutz family moved in. George Lutz, his wife Kathy, and their 3 children. They knew about the murders, but they believed the past was over. They were wrong. The first night felt normal, too normal, until 3:15 a.m. George woke up suddenly. No nightmare, no sound, just a feeling. Every night after that, he woke up at the exact same time, 3:15 a.m., the same moment the DeFeo family had died. The house had heating, the fireplace worked, but one bedroom stayed freezing cold. No matter how warm the rest of the house felt, this room felt like winter. The children complained. Kathy felt sick. Something was wrong. One night, George's daughter whispered, "Daddy, someone is looking at me." George went to the window. Outside, in the darkness, he saw something. A shape, small, still, with glowing red eyes. The child said softly, "His name is Jody." George never forgot that name. Strange things started happening. Doors opened by themselves. Furniture moved. Objects fell for no reason. One morning, Kathy screamed. Red liquid was dripping from the walls. It looked like blood. Minutes later, it was gone. No stains, no smell, nothing anymore. George Lutz changed. He became angry, obsessive, distant. He spent hours alone in the basement, staring into nothing. He chopped wood non-stop, yelled at the children, barely slept. It felt like the house was pulling him in.
A priest came to bless the house. The moment he stepped inside, he heard a voice, clear, angry, "Get out." His hands burned, blisters formed on his skin. He ran out of the house and never returned. By now, the Lutz family was terrified. Every night felt heavier, every room felt darker, and the house seemed awake. The question was no longer, is this house haunted? The question was, does this house want them dead? By the second week, the house no longer felt quiet. It felt alert, like something inside had noticed the family and was watching their every move. Night after night, the Lutz family slept less, and the house seemed to wake up more. Late at night, the children started talking to someone, not to each other, to someone no one else could see. Kathy would hear whispers coming from the children's room, soft conversations, gentle replies. When she asked who they were talking to, the answer was always the same, our friend. No name, no face, just a presence. George became obsessed with the basement. He felt drawn to it. He would sit there in the dark for hours, even in the freezing cold. Sometimes he said it felt warm down there, comfortable. That made no sense. The basement was the coldest place in the house, and yet George felt safest there. One morning, the house filled with a terrible smell. It was the smell of decay, like rotting flesh. Kathy searched every room, the kitchen, the bathroom, the trash. Nothing. Then, suddenly, the smell disappeared, as if it had never existed. The activity became violent. Doors slammed shut with force. Windows opened on their own in the middle of winter. Furniture shifted during the night. One night, Kathy felt hands grab her. She woke up screaming. George turned on the light. Red marks were visible on her chest, finger-shaped bruises. No one had touched her. The children were no longer just scared. They were changing. One child spoke in a deep voice that wasn't their own. Another claimed someone told them to open the windows at night. The youngest stood in front of the house, staring at the walls, whispering, "They want us to stay." Kathy realized something horrifying. The house didn't want them to leave. One night, George snapped. He grabbed an axe, not in anger, not in panic, but calmly. He stood in the hallway, staring at his family. Kathy looked into George's eyes and didn't recognize the man she married. For a moment, she believed he was going to kill them, the same way it had happened before, at the same time, 3:15 a.m. That night, the house made its intention clear. The walls cracked, a door ripped off its hinges, a child was thrown from bed by an unseen force. Kathy screamed for George to wake up, and for the first time, he did. He dropped the axe, he looked around the house, and he understood. This wasn't stress, this wasn't imagination. This house was feeding on them. They didn't pack, they didn't plan, they just ran. In the middle of winter, barely dressed, they escaped the house in terror. They never went back, not for clothes, not for furniture, not for answers. They left everything behind. The house stood empty again, still, quiet, as if nothing had happened. But something important was left behind. The question, if the house was truly evil, why did it let them escape? And what was it waiting for next? The Lutz family never returned to the house, not once. They left behind clothes, furniture, personal belongings. They said one thing mattered more than all of it: survival. But escaping the house didn't end the story. It only made the mystery bigger. After the Lutz family fled, 112 Ocean Avenue stood empty again. No police tape, no warnings. From the outside, it looked normal. Neighbors noticed something strange. No noise, no activity, but people walking past the house reported a feeling, like being watched, like the house was aware, waiting. Ed and Lorraine Warren were already famous. They had investigated hundreds of paranormal cases across America. When they heard about Amityville, they knew this wasn't ordinary. They entered the house with a team: psychics, priests, investigators, audio recorders, cameras.
America has many haunted houses. Some are famous, some are exaggerated, but a few houses are different. They don't try to scare you, they try to break you. This is the true story of a house so disturbing that even paranormal investigators, priests, and former law enforcement officers refuse to stay inside it overnight. This is the story of the Hinsdale House, New York, USA. The Hinsdale House is not in a city. It's not on a busy road. It sits alone, surrounded by thick forest. No neighbors, no streetlights. Even during the day, the place feels wrong. At night, it feels alive. People who visit the house say the same thing. It feels like something is watching you the moment you step inside. In the 1970s, a normal American family moved into the house. They were looking for peace, quiet, privacy. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but the house didn't reveal itself all at once. It started slowly. Late at night, the family began hearing footsteps, heavy footsteps, coming from the upper floor. They checked. No one was there. The children started saying strange things. Someone is standing in the hallway. The parents tried to stay calm. They told themselves it was imagination, but the footsteps returned every night, louder, closer. One morning, the family noticed something on the walls. Red stains, smeared like fingerprints. They looked like blood, but before anyone could test them, they disappeared. No residue, no smell, just clean walls, as if nothing had ever been there. One night, the mother woke up unable to breathe. It felt like something heavy was sitting on her chest. She tried to scream. She couldn't move. Then she saw it, a dark shape, hovering inches from her face. The next thing she remembered, she woke up on the floor, alone, shaking. The children were no longer acting like children. They woke up screaming. They spoke to someone no one else could see. One of them said something that terrified the parents. "The man wants us to come downstairs." Downstairs meant one place, the basement. The basement was different, colder than the rest of the house, damp, silent. People who entered it felt dizzy, nauseous. Local residents believed the land had a dark past. Stories of occult rituals, animal sacrifices, things never officially recorded, but never forgotten either. The basement felt like the center of it all. Desperate, the family called a priest. The moment he stepped into the basement, he stopped. His face turned pale. He said only one sentence: "This place is not empty." The house was blessed, but that night things became worse, not better. Family members began waking up with injuries, scratches, bruises, bite marks. Doctors examined them. None of the injuries appeared self-inflicted. That raised a terrifying question. If no human caused them, then what did? By now, the family understood something crucial.
This house wasn't haunted in a way that entertained fear. It was hostile. It didn't want to scare them away. It wanted to keep them there. And the biggest mistake they made was deciding to stay longer. After the first few months, the activity inside the Hinsdale house changed. It was no longer subtle, no longer quiet. Whatever was inside the house had stopped observing. It had started responding. Word of the house spread quietly, not through the media, through investigators. Paranormal researchers began visiting the property. They brought equipment, audio recorders, cameras, EMF meters. Many of them expected nothing. Most of them left shaken. Several investigators later admitted they refused to return alone. This wasn't just a nighttime phenomenon. Visitors reported seeing shadow figures during the day, dark human-shaped forms moving across rooms, standing silently in corners. When approached, they vanished. No sound, no explanation. One investigator described it as not a ghost, more like a silhouette pretending to be human. One incident changed everything. A guest was standing near the staircase when they felt a sudden force. They were shoved hard. They fell down the stairs. There was no one behind them, no loose step, no stumble, just a violent push. This was no longer psychological. The house was becoming physical. Most activity centered around the basement. Audio recorders placed there captured strange sounds, heavy breathing, low growls, whispered voices. Some recordings included voices responding to questions that no one remembered asking. The most disturbing detail, the voices did not sound human. They were slow, strained, angry. People staying inside overnight began waking up with injuries, scratches on backs, arms, and legs. Some were deep, some were fresh. A few marks appeared in sets of 3. In Christian demonology, this is often interpreted as mockery, a direct insult against the Holy Trinity. Whether coincidence or not, the pattern was repeated too often to ignore. Witnesses described a sudden overwhelming smell, sulfur, rotting meat, decay. The odor would appear without warning, then vanish just as quickly. This smell was most often reported near the basement stairs, the same area where people felt dizzy, weak, or disoriented. One investigator described seeing a child standing near the hallway. The child did not speak, did not move. When approached, the figure vanished. No one else saw a child enter or leave the house. No children were present that night. This sighting was never explained. Multiple priests were brought to the house over time. Some refused to enter the basement. Others tried to perform blessings. Their reports were consistent. Sudden nausea, headaches, extreme anxiety, equipment malfunction. One priest later stated, "This place is not of spirits. This is a place of oppression." Visitors who planned to stay overnight often left within hours. Some left without speaking. Some were visibly shaken. A few investigators admitted they felt an intense urge to leave, as if something inside their mind was telling them to go. Others felt the opposite, a pull, like the house didn't want them to leave. By this point, one thing became clear. This wasn't a haunting replaying the past. This was active. It reacted to people. It responded to attention. It grew stronger with fear. And the longer someone stayed, the worse it became. Eventually, a warning began circulating among investigators, not publicly, quietly. Do not stay alone. Do not stay overnight if you're not prepared, and never provoke what's in the basement. Because the Hinsdale house didn't just scare people, it injured them, and something inside it seemed to be learning. People think leaving a haunted house ends the fear. For many who entered the Hinsdale house, it didn't. Some investigators carried the experience with them, long after they drove away, long after the forest disappeared behind them. The house stayed quiet, but the damage had already been done. Several visitors later reported serious changes in their lives, nightmares that repeated the same images, sleep paralysis, a feeling of being watched even in their own homes. Some said electronics malfunctioned around them for weeks. Others experienced sudden depression or anxiety they couldn't explain. One former investigator said, "It felt like something followed me, not physically, but mentally." Over the years, more than one family tried living in the Hinsdale house. None stayed long. Each family reported different details, but the same core experiences: unexplained footsteps, objects moving, physical sensations, children reacting to unseen presences. Every family eventually made the same decision. They left, not slowly, not calmly, they fled. Many investigators began questioning something important. What if the house wasn't the source? What if it was just sitting on something older? Local history suggests the land may have been used for dark practices long before the house was built. Stories of occult rituals, animal sacrifices, nothing officially documented, but enough stories existed to raise concern. The house may not have created the evil. It may have opened a door to it. This is where the story takes its darkest turn. Some paranormal experts believe the Hinsdale house isn't haunted in the traditional sense. They believe it's a portal, a place where something can cross over, not a ghost stuck in the past, but an intelligence that comes and goes. That would explain why activity changes.
There's a small town in the state of Missouri called Greystone Falls. It looks ordinary. Children go to school, people walk their dogs, life moves on. But there's one place in this town that locals avoid talking about. On the outskirts of Greystone Falls, right where the forest begins, stands an old wooden house. No signboard, no name. In government records, it's listed only as a property code. But among locals, it's known by a different name: the house that never closed. September 2009, a normal 911 call. On a quiet September night in 2009, the Greystone Falls Police Department received a call. The dispatcher noted something strange immediately. The caller wasn't screaming. She wasn't crying. Her voice was shaking, controlled but terrified. "There's someone inside the house. I can hear them breathing, but I'm alone." The answer was Emily Carter, 27 years old. She had moved into the house just 3 weeks earlier. Police arrival. Nothing out of place. Officers arrived within 12 minutes. They searched every room, checked every window, every door. No forced entry, no signs of struggle. Emily was found sitting on the floor, knees pulled to her chest, drenched in sweat. When asked what she heard, she said only one thing: "He stops breathing when you enter. He waits." The officers wrote it off as an anxiety episode. The report was closed. That decision would later be called their biggest mistake. That same night, Emily wrote in her diary, "The house only makes sounds when I'm not looking at it." At 2:17 a.m., she heard footsteps on the wooden staircase. Slow, careful. She told herself it was an old house settling, but the footsteps didn't stop at the top of the stairs. They stopped outside her bedroom door. And then she heard breathing. Very close. Something was missing. The next morning, Emily noticed something unsettling. There were no mirrors in the house. Not in the bathroom, not in the bedroom, not anywhere. When she called the landlord, his voice changed. That house never had mirrors. Previous tenants removed every single one. When Emily asked why, the call disconnected. Week 2, the house learned her name. The sounds were no longer random. They whispered. The first time she heard it clearly, it said, "Emily." The voice came from inside the wall,
as if the house itself was speaking. That night, she recorded audio on her phone. The recording captured her voice, and behind it, another voice, low, wet, not human, digging into the past. Terrified, Emily went to the local library. What she found never made it into the news. Between 1974 and 2008, 11 different tenants lived in that house. None stayed longer than 6 months. 3 people disappeared. 2 died by suicide. The rest left with severe psychological trauma. One unreleased police file contained a single sentence. All tenants reported breathing without a visible body, the most disturbing discovery. In the final folder, Emily found a handwritten note from a retired officer. The house responds to loneliness. The more alone you feel, the more it becomes aware of you. That's when Emily understood something horrifying. The house wasn't empty. It never had been. That night, Emily wrote her final diary entry. It doesn't live inside the house. The house is what it lives in. Emily Carter was never seen again. The house still stands today, and in official county records, its status reads, "Property not closed. Status, occupied." Despite everything that happened, the house didn't stay empty for long. In March 2010, a family moved in. The Harrisons. Mark Harrison, 38, his wife Laura, and their 8-year-old son, Ethan. They were never told about Emily Carter. Legally, the house had no confirmed deaths inside it, just incidents. The first week, Ethan noticed it first. Children notice things adults ignore. On the 3rd night, Ethan asked his mother, "Why does the house breathe at night?" Laura laughed it off. Old pipes, wood expanding. But Ethan was serious. "It stops when I look at it." Security cameras. Mark installed security cameras after Ethan started waking up screaming. 3 cameras, living room, hallway, front door. The first few nights were normal. Then, on night 7, something changed. At 3:11 a.m., the hallway camera recorded something impossible. The audio spiked. Not footsteps, not movement, breathing. Deep, slow, right next to the camera. But the hallway was empty. The locked door incident. One night, Laura tried to leave the house. She'd grabbed Ethan and told Mark, "We're not staying another night." But the front door wouldn't open. Not jammed, not locked, just unresponsive. At the same moment, the hallway lights turned off, and from inside the walls, a sound began to travel, room to room, following them. Breathing, the 911 call that was never released. Mark called 911. This recording was never officially released, but a partial transcript exists. "Dispatcher, sir, are you in immediate danger?" Mark, "I don't know how to explain this. The house is awake." Dispatcher, "Sir?" Mark, "It doesn't want us to leave." At 3:36 a.m., the call cut off. Police arrival. Again, nothing visible. The Harrisons were found in the living room, all 3 of them, sitting, unmoving, eyes wide open, alive, but unresponsive. Ethan spoke first. It took hours before Ethan finally spoke. His first sentence chilled the room. It said we could stay if we stayed very still. When asked who said that, Ethan pointed at the wall, the footage. Police reviewed the security footage. What they saw was disturbing. At 3:14 a.m., all cameras picked up audio at once. Breathing. Then a whisper, clear enough to isolate. "You noticed me." After that moment, every camera shut off simultaneously. A pattern emerged. An investigator reviewing old files noticed something. Every incident in the house followed the same pattern. New tenant, initial sounds, breathing, voices, and finally, the house responding. Not haunting, not possession, awareness. The final report. An internal police memo never meant for public release ended with this line: "This location does not exhibit paranormal activity in the traditional sense. It exhibits behavior." The Harrisons moved out within 48 hours. They refused interviews, refused compensation. They refused to even say the address out loud. Before leaving town, Ethan said one last thing to an officer: "It gets louder when people forget about it." Why the house was never condemned. After the Harrisons left, county officials tried to shut the property down, but every attempt failed. There was no legal reason, no structural damage, no confirmed fatalities inside the house, no evidence that could stand in court. One internal document explains the real reason. Closing the property would require declaring it uninhabitable. We cannot explain why it's dangerous. So, the house remained, occupied on paper, empty in reality. The incident that started everything. Buried deep in Missouri County archives is a case from 1973. The house wasn't a rental then. It belonged to a man named Walter Grayson, a construction engineer, divorced, no children. He lived alone, very alone. Walter Grayson's experiment. Walter believed something radical, that houses weren't just structures, they were recording devices, absorbing emotion, memory, presence. His journals were recovered after his disappearance. One line appears repeatedly: "If a place is left with one emotion long enough, it learns it." Neighbors reported strange renovations. Walter sealed mirrors inside the walls, removed reflective surfaces, rebuilt rooms to reduce echoes. He wanted silence. The last night, 1974. On January 18, 1974, a power outage hit Greystone Falls. Only one house never went dark: Walter's. At 2:43 a.m., a neighbor called police. He said he heard someone breathing, coming from every direction at once. Police arrived. The house was unlocked, lights on. Walter Grayson was never found, but his final tape recorder was. The recording exists. It has never been released publicly. Only a transcript remains. At first, it's just breathing. Then Walter speaks. It's responding, not to me, to the absence of me. There's a pause, then another voice, not loud, not aggressive, just present. You stayed long.